Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. My name is Moinak and this is the second part of a four-part series of WBPSC Assistant Engineer 2003 Civil Engineering paper. I have solved the 2016, 14 and 12 paper as well. If you want to check them out, the links are provided in the description box. In this video, I have explained each and every solution in details like always, and also the connected questions that might be asked are also discussed. And if you're new here, do subscribe and share this channel with your friends who are preparing for civil engineering government exams. So without wasting any more time, let's begin with the questions. First question is, when rainwater flows under a cross-running canal, the system is called. Now, superpassage, siphon, aqueduct, and level crossing, these are all cross drainage structures, right? So these are provided where a natural drain has to be crossed by a canal so as to dispose of drainage water without interrupting the continuous canal supplies, right? Now, by passing the canal over the drainage system, these systems are known as aqueduct or siphon aqueduct, right? By passing the canal below the drainage, these systems are known as superpassage or siphon or canal siphon, right? And by passing the drain through the canal, allowing their water to intermix with each other, these are known as level crossings or inlets and outlets, right? So the answer for our question is, when rainwater flows under a cross-running canal, the system is called aqueduct. The answer should be aqueduct. Next question is, the load carrying capacity of a pile driven by a fall of 1 meter by 1800 kg drop hammer penetrating 3 millimeter in the last flow is. Now the load carrying capacity is given by this formula, WH by 6 into S plus C, where S is the final set in centimeter, which in our question is given as 0.3 centimeter, right? Also C for drop hammer is 2.5 centimeter. Now just by replacing these values WH, S and C, we get the load carrying capacity as 10,714.29 kgs or 10.7 tons or 10.7 tons. So the nearest answer is D. The nearest answer is D. Next question is, stopping distance of a vehicle in a highway is. Now, this is the graphical representation of the stopping side distance. Now, this is the point A where the driver has observed the obstruction and the obstruction is at point D. So, this is the total available distance. AD is the total available distance before which the driver has to stop its vehicle so as to avoid any collision. So at point A where driver sees the obstruction and at point B where driver applies the brakes is known as the lag distance. This distance is known as the lag distance, and the point at which the driver applies brakes and the point at which the vehicle actually stops, this distance is known as the braking distance. Now the summation of these two, lag distance and braking distance, gives us the stopping distance or stopping side distance. Also lag distance is given by 0.278 Vt, where V is the speed of vehicle and T is the reaction time of drivers, and LB or the braking distance is given by V square by 254 mu. Also, you should know this, that for stopping side distance, the reaction time is taken as 2.5 seconds, and for overtaking side distance, the reaction time is taken as 2 seconds. So the answer for this question should be, stopping distance of a vehicle in highway is the summation of lag distance and braking distance. The answer should be C. Next question. The canal has to irrigate 12,000 hectares of rice with duty of 1000 hectare per cumex. For what discharge should the canal be designed if the capacity factor is zero point 0.8 and the time factor is 0.75? Now you know discharge is given by area upon duty, which comes out to be as 12 meter cube per second, and the design discharge is given by this formula. This is important. Given by discharge upon time factor into capacity factor. If you replace the values, the design discharge would come out to be as 20 meter cube per second, right? So the answer should be C. Just remember this formula of design discharge. Next question, purlin on a truss is designed for a bending moment of. Now you know maximum bending moment in a purlin may be taken as WL by 10, where W is the total distributed load on purlin including wind load, So the answer should be B. The answer should be B, WL by 10. Next question is, the term counterfort is used in design of. Now the term counterfort is used in design of retaining walls. Also, counterfort walls are provided when height of retained earth goes beyond 7 to 8 meters, right? Also, counterfort is designed as T-beams and main reinforcement is placed in the inclined phase. Reinforcement is placed in the inclined phase, and these are known as the counterforts. Right? Next question, drilling mud is a mixture of. Now, drilling mud consists of bentonite clay, water, and additives such as barium sulfate or calcium carbonate. So the answer should be, drilling mud is usually a mixture of bentonite clay and water, and sometimes some additives are added. Next question, in a repelling groin, the axis of the groin with respect to the flow direction makes. Now, this is a repelling groin, this is a repelling groin, and this is an attracting groin. Now you know repelling groin, it points towards the upstream side of the river. Now this is the flow direction, this is the flow direction, so the angle which it makes with the axis of the groin is an acute angle, so the answer for repelling groins, the axis of the groin with respect to the flow direction is an acute angle, and in case of attracting groins, this is an obtuse angle, right? Also, a repelling groin is a groin that points upstream and tends to repel the flow away from the bank, right? And an attracting groin is a groin pointing downstream. Also, it tends to attract the river flow towards the bank on which it is provided. So the answer should be A, acute angle. Next question. If a member is likely to be subjected to torsion, which of the following section is preferable? Now you know for torsion, for member subjected to torsion, the best section is a box section. The best section is a box section. Next question. Alum acts as a now you know alum acts as a coagulant. Alum acts as a coagulant. Also, there are other coagulants that are used in water treatment. They are ferric sulfate and ferric chloride. Next question. Fine particles may be arrested by. Now, fine particles can be arrested by electrostatic precipitator. Now, you can see the other options, which are ecosystem analyzer, evapotranspirator, environmental legislator. Now, you don't need to know in details to answer this particular question. If you see all the options, the other options automatically get cancelled off, right? Also, the electrostatic precipitator is a filtration device that removes fine particles like dust and smoke from a flowing gas using the force of an induced electrostatic charge, minimally impeding the flow of gases through the unit. The answer for this particular question should be A, electrostatic precipitator. Next question, depth of hydraulic jump depends on a parameter. Now the equation of depth after hydraulic jump is given by y2 equal to y1 by 2 into root over 1 plus 8 fr square minus 1. Now this is the Froude number. So the depth of hydraulic jump depends on Froude number, right? And these are the alternate depths. Also, classification of hydraulic jumps according to Froude number. This is also very important. This might be asked in the exam. For undular jump, if the Froude number varies from 1 to 1.7, for weak jump, it varies from 1.7 to 2.5. For oscillating jump, it varies from 2.5 to 4.5. For steady jump, it varies from 4.5 to 9. And for strong jump, the Froude number is greater than 9. So this is also important. Next question. Pumping and gravity type of distribution in drinking water is done through. Now, elevated tanks or reservoirs are constructed where combined pumping and gravity system of water distribution is adopted. Also, this is made of RCC or steel, and mainly made of RCC. So the answer for this particular question should be A, elevated tanks. Next question, in cement, ratio of silica is to lime is to alumina is approximately. Now, the composition of cement is as follows. For lime, it ranges from 62 to 65%. For silica, it ranges from 17 to 25%. And for alumina, it is from 3 to 8%. These three are the most important materials, and the other things are also important, but the most important are these three: lime, silica, and alumina. And the ratio of silica is to lime is to alumina is 4 is to 10 is to 1 according to this composition, right? So the answer for this particular question should be the ratio of silica is to lime is to alumina in cement is 4 is to 10 is to 1. So the answer should be D. Next question, volume of voids to the volume of soil mass is termed as. Now this is a three-phase system of soil. Where this represents the soil solids, this represents water, and this represents air. This is the volume of air, this is the volume of water, and this is the volume of soil solids. Now volume of air combined with volume of water gives us the volume of voids, right? Also, volume of voids divided by volume of soil mass gives us the porosity, and the volume of voids divided by the volume of soil solids gives us the void ratio. So the answer for this particular question should be volume of voids to the volume of soil mass is termed as porosity. A. Next question, reduction factor of RCC column with L by B ratio 24 is. Now, in working stress method, the design of long column is made by considering reduced stresses obtained by multiplying the permissible stress by a coefficient known as reduction factor. And the reduction factor is given by the minimum of 1.25 minus L effective by 48D or 1.25 minus L effective by 48B, where B and D are the dimensions of column, right? In this particular question, the reduction factor is given by 1.25 minus L effective by 48B, where L by B is given as 24. So if we just replace the values, the reduction coefficient would come out to be as 0.75. So the answer should be A. The answer should be A for this particular question. Next question, California bearing ratio method of design of flexible pavement takes care of mainly. Now, CBR method of design of flexible pavement takes care mainly of the characteristics or the property of road materials, right? Also, the soil sample is taken over the vessel and load is applied through an arrangement. Load corresponding to different penetration values are noted and the CBR curve is drawn. Also, the CBR value is taken as the maximum of CBR at 2.5 millimeter penetration or the CBR at 5 millimeter penetration. Whatever is the maximum value, that is the CBR value. And generally, in general, CBR 2.5 is greater than CBR 5.0, or CBR at 2.5 millimeter penetration is more than CBR at 5 millimeter penetration. So the answer for this particular question should be CBR method of design of flexible pavement takes care mainly of property of road materials, property and characteristics of road materials. Next question, which of the following may lead to waterlogging of fields? Now the answer should be it may lead to poor drainage may lead to waterlogging, excessive seepage from nearby reservoirs may lead to waterlogging, also over irrigation may lead to waterlogging. The answer should be all the above. The answer should be all the above. Next question, in Burmester theory, displacement factor depends on. In Burmester theory, displacement factor depends on. Now, Burmester method of design of flexible pavement is based on modulus of elasticity of different layers of pavement, and the displacement equation by Burmester for the flexible plate method is given by delta is equal to 1.5 Pa by Es into F2, where F2 is the deflection or displacement factor. And for rigid plate method, the delta or the deflection is given by 1.18 times Pa by Es into F2, where F2 is again the displacement or deflection factor. P is the tire pressure, A is the radius of contact area, and Es is the modulus of subgrade. Modulus of subgrade. The question is, Burmester theory displacement factor depends on. Now, this is the Burmester curve where x-axis represents the h by a value and y-axis represents the deflection factor F2. So the deflection factor here depends upon the ratio of modulus of elasticity of subgrade to the modulus of elasticity of pavement. Oh, and the h by a factor. The h by a factor, h is the thickness of pavement and a is the radius of contact area. So the deflection or the displacement factor, depends on the ratio of modulus of elasticity of pavement and subgrade layers. Also, the h by a ratio, where h is the thickness of pavement and a is the radius of contact area. Next question is, in simply supported determinate truss, members versus joint relation is. Now, in simply supported determinate truss, the member versus joint relation is m equal to 2j minus 3. Now, for indeterminacy in truss, the degree of static indeterminacy is given by DSI plus DSE, where DSI is the internal redundancy and DSE is the external redundancy. And DS, degree of static indeterminacy, is given by m plus r minus 2j, where m is the number of members, j is the number of joints, and r are the total reactions, total external reactions. And DSE is also given by r minus 3. So the DSI value comes out to be as m plus 3 minus 2j, m plus 3 minus 2j. Also, if DSI of a truss is 0, such a truss is called perfect truss. If we equate it to 0, m becomes equal to 2j minus 3. And this is for internally determinate stable truss, also known as perfect truss. Also, if m is greater than 2j minus 3, it is known as redundant truss. If m is less than 2j minus 3, it is known as deficit truss. So the answer for our particular question should be, in simply supported determinate truss, member versus joint relation is m equal to 2j minus 3, right? Next question, ordinate of hydrograph indicates. Now, ordinate of hydrograph indicates discharge in meter cube per second. Now this is a hydrograph which represents all the parts of the hydrograph, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These all resemble something. Now part 1 represents where runoff from catchment starts flowing to the river. Part 2 or point 2 represents the runoff from catchment has reached the measuring point on the basis of which hydrograph was plotted. Now this is the measuring point for this particular catchment area. The parts 2, 3, 4 is known as the crest part, and point 3 is known as peak discharge, or the maximum flow rate that has yielded from the watershed. The part 4 represents where rainfall has stopped and the amount of water that enters the measuring point starts decreasing from this point, right? The amount of water that enters the measuring point starts decreasing from this particular point. Also, 5 represents that the base flow of river stays only, and the runoff stops at this particular point. So after point 5, the runoff stops going to the measuring point. So these were the parts of hydrographs. Also, uh, part 1 2 is known as the rising limb, and part 4 5 is known as the falling limb, where point 2 and point 4 represents the inflection points, which represents by change in curvature, which is represented by change in curvature of this particular graph. Also, the rising limb is influenced by the storm or basin characteristics, and the falling limb is influenced by only the basin characteristics, So these were the important points of hydrograph, and the answer for this particular question is discharge. Ordinate of hydrograph indicates discharge. Next question, raising of center of road with respect to edge is known as. Now raising of center of road with respect to the edges is known as camber. It is mainly of two types, straight line camber and parabolic camber. Now the parabolic camber is used for highways for fast moving vehicles. Also, you should know this, gradient is equal to twice the camber. Gradient is almost equal to twice the camber. Also, the camber as per IRC, is given by this following chart. You should remember this chart as well. You should take a screenshot of this particular chart, and you should remember all the values in this particular chart. Next question, capacity in a wastewater tank for a flow of 80 liter per day per head from 250 users is 30 cubic meter. The detention period is. Now the flow rate is 80 liter per day per head. The number of heads is 250. So the total flow rate is given by 80 into 250 liter per day. The capacity is given by 30 meter cube. The detention period is given by capacity upon total flow rate. If we just replace the values and we change the capacity from meter cube to liters by multiplying by a factor 10 to the power 3, right? So the answer comes out to be as, detention period comes out to be as 1.5 days or 36 hours. 1.5 days or 36 hours. So the answer should be D. For this particular question. Next question, working out the exact quantities of various items of work is known as. Now let's look into all the options. Quantity surveying. Quantity surveying is a complete estimate or list of quantities for all items of work required to complete the project. The quantity of each individual item of work is worked out from respective dimensions of the drawing of the structure. Now what is estimating? It is the calculation of quantities of various items of work and the expenses likely to be incurred thereon. The total of these probable expenses to be incurred on the work is known as the estimated cost of project. Also, valuation. What is valuation? It is the art of assessing the present fair value of a property at a stated time. It is an estimate of the value of that thing in terms of money, right? So the answer for this particular question, the best answer for this particular question should be working out exact quantities of various items of work is known as quantity surveying. Next question. Loss of pressure head for laminar flow through pipe varies. Now, the Darcy-Weisbach equation gives us the head loss, which is equated to FL V square by 2GD. Now this is applicable for laminar as well as turbulent flow. Darcy-Weisbach equation is generally applied for pipe flow and for laminar as well as turbulent flow, but mostly used for turbulent flow. Whereas the Huygens-Poiseuille equation is only for fully developed laminar flow, where the head loss varies according to 32 mu VL by rho GD square, where the head loss is proportional to the velocity, mean velocity. So the answer for this particular question should be loss of pressure rate for laminar flow through pipe varies directly to the velocity and not as a square of velocity, according to me. Because for Darcy-Weisbach equation, this is the general equation for pipe flow. In pipe flow, laminar flow as well as turbulent flow exists, and it is mostly used for turbulent flow. Whereas Huygens-Poiseuille equation, it is for fully developed laminar flow only, and the head loss varies directly proportionally to the velocity. So the answer for this particular question should be B. So this was the second part of a 4-part series of WBPSC Assistant Engineer 2003 Civil Engineering paper. If you like the content of this video, then do subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends. Stay home everyone and stay safe, and study hard but study smart. Thank you.